Melvin Christian kind of where is he now? What did you see when you first selected him in film, and what do you see now?
Well, the first thing, when we first started kind of recruiting him and evaluating him in the transfer process, the thing you notice about him is his explosiveness and how violent he plays. Right, with his hands, he's a violent puncher, uses his hands well. You do like the ability, his ability to dominate a one-on-one type of block.
Okay.
One of the things we noticed right away was how raw he was in terms of his technique and his fundamentals, and then, quite honestly, right, some of the technique with the hold. I mean, I think he led FCS football with penalties last year. So whether that was, in sportsmanlike or holds or whatever, so there was some rawness to him, but there was some stuff we had to get corralled. Okay. And then have him learn how to finish, right? Okay. Just one pop striking a guy is not finishing a block, right? So we had to teach him how to do things our way a little bit, and really what you saw with him was a constant progression of improvement.
Okay.
Over the course of spring, over the course of the summer, and then fall camp as well. And then, I thought he played very physically against Eastern. I mean, everybody kind of goes back to that one pull that he had at the end of the game. But he had 11 knockdowns in that game. His feet were a mess. He had one of the lowest technique grades of anybody on the line that particular game. So that was a big focal point going into this week at Kansas, and I thought he for the most part corrected it. He graded out at over 80% technique grade, which I'm very hard on that. So if he takes one false step, something, that it's a minus, right? So for him to grade in the 80s in the technique is a really kind of feather to put in his cap after week one. So the growth he had from week 1 to week 2 in terms of how he played, the technique and the fundamentals he played with, obviously I think it showed in the way he protected, the way he ran, on some of his run fits. He played really well. He was one of our team MVPs for the game.
Bart, let me know if I'm not being fair here, but if you're seeing something different, just let me know. But the way that you guys have been running in between the tackles, you guys set a high standard for that. I don't know if you've met it through 2 weeks. Is that fair?
That's probably fair.
Okay.
A variety of reasons.
Walk me through that.
So
because
a couple
I know
things.
Yeah.
Eastern did everything they could to take away our inside zone game.
Okay.
And so movements, pressures, those things are gonna clog the middle.
Right.
And then that's when you started seeing us go to the perimeter, right? So you saw our pin pull stuff and getting balls to the perimeter, and I don't think anybody really truly respected, I think, maybe the talent of our receivers early on. And so we made them capitalize. We capitalized on that. We made them pay for that. Kansas came in. We'd made a big talk about running the ball this week, and Kansas came in and did what they could to stop that as well. Now, there was a few MEs this week. Josh Getsky didn't play, had a couple of MEs on some things and stuff like that. But for the most part, we ran the ball when we needed to in that 4-minute drive. I mean, we ran the ball.
I think there's a difference between being bad and being not at your standard. You know what I'm saying?
100%. There's a difference. There's a difference there. And I think, we all wanted to be able to pound it. And there's, you look back on film, there's a variety of reasons. Like the third down call, there is a hole there.
Right.
You look from the end and you're like,
sure,
golly, man. So it's the ebbs and flows of that, right? Sometimes we spit the ball out and it's blocked well. So,
right.
I do think, we still had the perimeter game from time to time, but Kansas did a lot to take that away. And then obviously we hit some big-time shots when we needed to in the pass game. So I think a measure of a good offense is if someone's going to take something away, then you have the ability to attack them in other places. And, we still efficiency-wise, with our inside zone, we're still 60% efficient in inside zone. So you look at that and you're like, okay, the efficiency was there, but not the explosive runs, right? Which is how you rack up mega yardage, right?
Sure.
And so that was certainly something, that we need to get corrected and want to get corrected and more home run threats and some of those things. But, there was some stuff that I was pleased with towards the end of the game, particularly on the right side with the way we handled some of the duo and some of the things late in the game. I mean, there was one where week 1, Zai fell on his face on that block. And then week 2, he stays up, he gets vertical to the second level, and Khalil hits it right in there, and we end up getting, I think it was like a 6 or 7 yard gain, right? I mean, so little things like that I was pleased with. So we had to keep building on those. Obviously we had a lot of offense going into that Kansas game. That was kind of the way the game went, and we had an intention of kind of keeping the ball away as well. I don't argue with that at all. I think we need to be better on that part of it.
You mentioned the perimeter stuff, the pin pull stuff, like getting your guys out beneath that, beyond the hashes. Do you like what you're seeing there in that regard? Because it seems like I talked to you in the preseason about the athleticism of your group might play.
Yeah, I do. I wasn't happy with the way we handled some of the counter stuff against Kansas. We missed, both guards missed a pressure off the edge, and it was, the tight ends had to recover for that. So I wasn't pleased with the counter piece of it, but I was pleased with kind of how we're evolving that pin pull stuff and some of the perimeter run game. So that has been pretty good. We still got to get better and got to find different ways to attack that. When the teams are going to give that to us, like if they're going to load that box with 8 men in the box and try to stop the inside run, then we got to be able to attack them in other ways. So, the first 2 games it's kind of all over the place but we're as an offense we're attacking what they're going to give us and taking advantage of it.
So if you get into this part, some rotation at right guard, what are you looking for, kind of to sort out what that looks like?
Consistency is the biggest thing, and honestly, the way it kind of worked out, we did rotate. Hunter White got in there, and then Brandon Henderson. I initially put Brandon in, for a 2-minute situation, and ended up being, we scored pretty quickly, with that, and ended up being a longer drive. And kicking the field goal before half, but then I felt Zai was playing improved. Thought he was playing better, and so I kind of went with the hot hand. And then in that second half, we were going on that start. We got the ball with 7 minutes left, and I thought, he was fresh. He was locked in on the sideline. I thought he had been playing well. Kind of looked him in the eye, and he kind of said, I got you, coach. And so let's go. And sure enough, I did think he played well down the stretch, which was good. There's one errant play. You probably saw it. Him and Kurtz both got beat on a play, on a swim move. Obviously, that's the stuff we have to eliminate, But overall, I thought he handled, his technique, his steps were better, his body control was better, protection was really good. I was very pleased with the way we protected. Still did not grade a sack to the line on that. Every time he got those 2, it was on him. He left the pocket. So I thought the pocket, especially in the drop back game, I was really proud of the drop back game. Run action stuff, we'll have some of that if it gets delayed. The way we're setting is a much more physical way. So if they transition rush, it might be a little bit quicker, but I was really pleased with the drop back stuff, and that was a big part of it. He had a good week of practice too. That's the other thing, is I want those guys to feel like they can't, especially those guys that have had maybe lack of consistency. They can't have a day off. You can't let your game drop, because we have too much talent that's young, it's underdeveloped, right? But too much talent waiting to want to play. So that's kind of what we're looking for, is consistency. And then really in any position, right? You're getting a lot of consistent play, out of 3 of the 5, and we need to get everybody on that same boat.